Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at 10 things about 2000s gaming that kids today will just never understand.
Okay.
Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. The Big Leap. The jump from N64 and PS1 to GameCube, PS2, and Xbox was massive. Characters were looking less polygonal these days, textures were getting more detailed, and lighting was evolving even more. We saw another massive advancement in technology when we jumped from those consoles to PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and, to some extent, the Wii. These were historical moments for the medium as we reached for more visual and audio fidelity. In today's world, the leaps across generations have been mild, to put it gently. Yes, we do have faster load times and more storage space, but nothing has really taken full advantage of the PlayStation 5 nor the Xbox Series XS. The increase in power has been used in some capacity, though nothing has come out that's shown why we've needed these consoles to begin with. A lot of games we've seen have been cross-gen, or are so simple they could run on older hardware.
Let their corpses strike fear into those who'd resist.
An era of peripherals.
First, you'll need to attach the guitar grip to a Nintendo DS.
You got to get a grip!
Throughout the 2000s, we saw a plethora of games try to cram peripherals into our collections. There were a number of solid titles that made great party games like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, and even the Buzz trivia games. However, for every peripheral-based game that was decently fun, there were about 5 awful ones.
Babysitting Mama.
Happy! Yay!
How many of us were stuck with games like Babysitting Mama, Tony Hawk Ride, or Scene It Lights Camera Action? There were plenty of companies trying unique stuff, but overall, there was a lot of plastic going to waste. With many of these charging almost $100 when they barely work with a game, we're almost glad that most of the industry has abandoned peripherals. Well, until those guitars for Fortnite launch, or whenever Xbox decides we need a new Guitar Hero from Activision.
I gotta rock with all your might!
DS Download Play. Honestly, those of us who grew up in the 2000s might feel bad for the current generation of kids. Games are so pricey these days, and many of the free-to-play titles charge exorbitant amounts of money for the most minute cosmetics. It's gotten to the point where kids with less money get picked on for not having certain skins in Fortnite. Back in the day, those of us with Nintendo DS's got to utilize a unique feature known as Download Play. Say you and 3 friends wanted to play Mario Kart DS together, but only one of you had a copy. Well, that player could set up a lobby from within the game, while the other 3 simply needed to boot up their DS and detect the host console. Even though the 3 would be limited to, like, playing Shy Guys in Mario Kart DS, all 4 of you could enjoy some kart racing together. It was a great way to include everyone in the fun without kids having to worry about sacrificing a big birthday, Christmas wish, or allowance, or without worrying about mom and dad possibly breaking the bank for a $40 game. But at least it was more inclusive back then instead of now. The Midnight Hour.
I'm here for the PlayStation 2.
One of the most exciting aspects of 2000s gaming was the midnight launch of a big game. For us kids at the time, we may not have all gotten to experience the midnight launch, but if you're a part of the older crowd from that time, this was the highlight of launch week. Standing around with your fellow players, eager to get your hands on the newest God of War just so you can skip work the next day. This was an awesome way for some of us to socialize and meet new people in town while bonding over our favorite games. The geek energy might be a bit much for some, especially when in a concentrated space, but this was all we had outside of the occasional convention. Nowadays, folks just pre-order games digitally if they want to play at midnight, and then they argue the next day about whether the game is a 10 or a 9.5 after 2 hours of play.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to sleep.
Motion Control Frenzy. Honestly, this might have been the most definitive moment in 2000s gaming. When the Nintendo Wii was first revealed at E3 2006, the world quickly saw how revolutionary this console was about to become. Motion controls had long been a dream in the tech world generally, and to some, it seemed like that future was never within reach. But as word of mouth spread about how fun it was to play Wii Sports, the frenzy grew more unstable. Lines stretched around buildings on the Wii's launch day, demo kiosks caused congestion around shopping malls, and people were willing to pay significant premiums just to get their hands on a Wii.
How many people are going to play the game? 2. So you need an additional nunchuck and an additional controller.
The fervor was so intense that you could barely find one within the first 2 years of the console's launch. That was all without a pandemic to hinder its ability, which is what the PS5 went through during its first couple of years. The only difference between the Wii and the PS5 is that the PS5 didn't come with a wave of hilarious videos showing people breaking their TVs from Wii bowling. Those were the days, man.
Nice throw!
Play and trade.
Play and Trade, where you can try any game before you buy it.
With GameStop swallowing up EB Games in 2005 via acquisition, it seemed as though GameStop had a firm foothold on the market, at least when looking at stores that specifically specialized in video game products. In comes Play and Trade. Founded in 2000 in San Clemente, California, Play and Trade tried to establish itself as a competitor to GameStop. Not only could you nab new games, you could find a wealth of retro titles from these stores stretching all the way back to the NES days.
Looking for something for your retro gaming system? Well, Play and Trade has it.
On top of that, they were known to have way more fair trade-in deals than what GameStop was shelling out at the time. Unfortunately, this is probably what led to its downfall. As we approached the 2010s, Play and Trades across the US were shutting down left and right. To this day, the company only has a few locations remaining and has pivoted towards being more of a net cafe where customers can rent consoles and games to play in-store or compete in local tournaments.
We can repair your consoles.
The online explosion. For console players, online gaming seemed like it was going to forever be a PC-only thing. While the PlayStation 2 and Xbox had Ethernet ports, online games weren't the most stable yet. However, that all changed in the glory days of the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. As soon as Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare dropped, everyone was hopping online. Everyone was grabbing an Xbox Gold membership just to play with their friends and talk smack. Some took it way too far, of course, but when randos weren't dropping slurs and yelling at teammates, this was a period where for once, it felt like the world was united and social. You can find various posts online about how people wound up meeting their best friends or even their significant others just from playing Modern Warfare or Halo with others. There are even still videos you can watch of people meeting each other in person for the first time outside of those games. Today, playing online just feels like you're painting a target on your back. Xbox Live Arcade. While Sony did have the PlayStation Network, there was a different energy in Xbox Live Arcade. This was the network that would help birth the indie gaming scene, as it highlighted new games you couldn't get anywhere else. Some of these titles were ports of older games from bigger publishers, but then you had gems like Alien Hominid, Rock of Ages, and The Maw. Of course, not all of them were heavy hitters, but for the most part, it was an awesome storefront that encouraged even the big companies to experiment with smaller titles. And we aren't getting much of that here in the 2020s. Getting what you paid for.
Nice.
Now here's one aspect of the 2000s we certainly do not miss. Third-party hardware. We still have some of that today, but most of it is done through actual partnerships with console manufacturers. It's a way to assure customers that you are getting a quality product and that the manufacturer themselves is endorsing it.
Approved!
But back then, it was a guessing game that all depended on what you could afford. Do you fork over the extra dough just for a brand new controller that came straight from Sony or Nintendo? Or do you spend only $20 and risk grabbing the Mad Catz controller and maybe it falls apart later down the road? More often than not, these controllers were uncomfortable, cheaply made, and were much more prone to breaking than first-party controllers.
You don't want to be like this.
For the most part, many controller manufacturers do take the craft more seriously than those before it. We got a ton of cosmetic options available to us today, as well as modular pieces for different analog sticks and back pedals. E3, a gaming Christmas.
26,800 yen on November 1st in Japan.
Throughout the 2010s, E3 was getting super cringy and how it was desperately trying to be trendy and meme-worthy. Now it's just dead. But in the mid to late 2000s, E3 was a different beast. There was something more humble in how presentations were kept to show the product off. We have an announcement. Here is a demo. Oops, the demo crashed. Sorry. Okay, here's when you can expect it.
You gonna ask it for help? I'm not just gonna stand here and wait around.
There wasn't all this talk of, when we saw the world of Scrub-a-Nut, we knew we needed to tell this story, as players will want to keep coming back to it years after launch. Please be patient as we try to figure out what the hell we actually plan to sell you once we're 18 months out from launch. During these days of E3, the studios were ready to just go, 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 go. None of the same 4 buzzwords and phrases, just games. Yes, there were still some blunders here and there and a few mishaps, but there was more fun in watching these presentations instead of being berated with hashtags and celebrity appearances and interviews and the whole 9 yards.
Stop it.
Everyone is media trained to the nth degree these days, and Twitter frequently gets Nintendo Direct trending for lols.
Of course not.
But enough of me rambling and reminiscing. What do you think was the best or worst part about gaming in the 2000s? Did it make our list? Share your memories with us down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays for more great videos every day.
We were the disruptor 20 years ago, and we still are today.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.